Live from the Motor City, all the way to the Volunteer State. It's time for the Reckless Speculation Podcast, where we recklessly speculate the latest news in the world of sports. From college football to NASCAR, we've got you covered. And don't forget to stick around for the world-famous Bet Your Nuts, where we will give you your best bets to make the most money. Now sit back, grab your favorite drink of choice, and join Robbie Davis, Raj Mehta, Brandon Chain, and Tom Sloan. It's showtime.
Welcome. Yeah, we have 3 of the 4 that was mentioned in that intro here. But hey, I'm Robbie. Thanks for joining us. We have Tom over here.
Why can't I hear anything?
We have Raj down there who we can hear you. You can't hear us though. But anyways, this would not be reckless speculation without a little bit of technical difficulties.
I'm there. Tom, do I need headphones for the blue?
You might.
Now why can't I hear you?
Can't hear me?
We can mute him while he cusses away trying to figure this out, maybe. Good
old guy.
Yeah. So, Tom, how are you on this Thursday evening?
Doing well. Definitely some technical difficulties, but I'm excited that Raj upgraded to that mic. It's going to be nice to hear.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm the last holdout on the equipment. I got to get myself in gear, which I'm going to do in February. Most people make New Year's resolutions. I make like new month resolutions. So we'll see about that. For everyone that's watching, we know that we're part of the reason you're watching. There's also another huge reason, and that's Randall QB1. So a little update on his health. He has been released from the hospital. He is at home. He is still severely injured, obviously, but his spirits are high. We're trying to see him as much as we can. We will keep you guys updated. We do want to do something fundraising, something like that in the near future. So we'll keep you guys updated. Hopefully we'll have something by the episode next week about things of that nature. But he's going to make it. It's going to be a long road to recovery. But he's in good spirits, and I don't know if he's watching tonight, but we do have a message from him that he wanted to share with all of our listeners, friends, and family. Tom, if you'll play that.
All right.
Hey, everyone. This is Randall. I just wanted to come on here for a minute and say thank you. First of all, thank you to these 4 gentlemen who I consider my friend and my brothers, and that were not only there for me in my hour of need, that are still there for me. Raj, Robbie, Chain, and Tom are truly friends beyond friends. But I want to talk about another family, and that's the RiverCity-Media family. I cannot tell you how many people reached out to me in the hours after my accident to check on my condition.
Hello?
My daughter's condition. I don't even know what to say other than I am truly grateful to have a network of people who love and care about me, myself, and my daughter Annalie in that form. And you might find it unusual or strange, but I feel the same about each and every one of you. And each message that came into me that day, I feel like I have a personal relationship.
Okay. It just got off.
Well, yeah, but basically, Randall saying thank you all for watching and listening, and just caring about him in his time of need, his daughter's time of need, his ex-wife's time of need, and just everyone. We thank you. And then, Raj, can you hear us? No. All right. So we are going to go from one tragedy to another. And Tom, one of the weirdest things in the last decade that I can remember in sports, and we want to start off by saying, look, there's a victim in this, and what we're about to talk about is not comfortable, but it's something that needs to be talked about. And I can speak for all of us that we are sorry for the life that is lost in this victim. Whatever happened, we don't know that yet, but we do know there is a victim in this, and we are sorry for the loss of life. And what I'm talking about is this shooting, this murder, this death in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, that one way or another has been linked to an Alabama basketball player. I know when I heard the news, I was shocked. What did you think when you heard the news?
I mean, whenever you're dealing with somebody that's in the spotlight and seeing that Alabama, where they're ranked in the top 5 basically in the country, it always is that much like elevated, we'll say. Something that happens every day. There's always unfortunate loss of life that, people are dealing with, on a daily basis, but it always seems like when it's affected into the sports world, you don't ever see athletes in that light. You don't see them as somebody that is capable, we'll say, of committing murder. But at the end of the day, they're human beings, and they make choices that sometimes are less to be desired. So um, it's a tragedy, no less. But when you take somebody that's in the limelight, playing basketball, playing college basketball for a top 5 team, it just seems to get a little bit more precedence. But ultimately it's a shame. Obviously, you don't know the whole situation. I'm sure it'll come out as the time goes by, but loss of life is never good. And these are young kids that have a lot of freedom and a lot of entitlement. And is this a situation where he thought he would be invincible and get away with it? Who knows? But it's a tragic, no less.
Yeah, I agree. And I guess what kind of shocks me is, how you let yourself get in this position, right? Like, I understand that players, celebrities, and these people are models, they're targets, they have, you know, targets on their backs for whatever reasons, or for whatever motives, I should say. But for me, if I don't feel safe going out without a gun, um, I'm not going out, right? Like, yeah, it's an unfortunate situation that America, society has put us in. But if like, this is how quickly life can change, right? So you're a Division One. I don't know if he's on. I don't know much about the kid, and so I'm not going to dive too much into it or give too many opinions. But assume you're at least playing Division One sports. Maybe you're on a scholarship. Maybe you get playing time. Maybe the NBA is your future. And then to let it all go away allegedly at it's just shocking, and it reminds me of two things came to mind for me. Aaron Hernandez,
Yep.
came to mind, and then and Tom, when you were speaking, it brought back another memory that I had, because you made a great point that Alabama's ranked in the top 5.
Mhm.
If they weren't as good, you remember when a Baylor player was charged for murdering, and I think convicted of murdering his own teammate. That was obviously before social media. But yeah, that's just crazy to ruin 2 people's lives, your own life, number one, and the victim's life. And I hope this is a wake-up call for people that guns aren't needed, and they're not needed with young people. They're not needed out by nightclubs or bars, because lives can change so quickly and you make bad decisions.
Right.
Of course, all these are allegations, and the due process will work its way out, but it's just sad as it stands right now.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, you look at, the victim's family, their lives are changed, and obviously these defendants that, their families' lives have changed. So it's just never a good situation, no matter where you look at it. And unfortunately, the society, the world we live in these days, it's always that much more when there's athletes involved, or there's professional players, or an actor, or what we saw today with what's his name,
Alec Baldwin
being charged with involuntary manslaughter for something that happened on a movie set. You just never know. You really gotta cross your T's and dot your I's at all costs, even when you're on a movie set. So it's a tricky situation that you are dealing with when you're in the limelight.
Yeah, and that's one of those things, like, yeah, we're a sports show, but we also like to talk about society and kind of how things function. And Raj and I were on text about this earlier, this Alec Baldwin stuff. Hopefully he can hear me now.
Can you hear, Raj?
Probably not. But anyways, Raj and I were on a text earlier about this. Obviously, Raj and I are both lawyers, and we have our legal background, our legal minds thinking about this. And so, Tom, you know the basics of it. What were your thoughts when you heard he was charged with involuntary manslaughter?
I got to admit, I was a bit surprised seeing that. To me, I thought there was a resolution that was done, several months ago, and they kind of decided that the gun that was put there was live. Whose responsibility was, I don't know. So I'm curious to see what evidence that they had that was strong enough for them to go ahead and file charges, especially on him, a well-known actor. So I'm a bit surprised. I think when it's all said and done, I couldn't imagine him seeing any jail time, because unless they know and they have, pardon the pun, the smoking gun, that he knew what was going on, I think, this could be all smoke and mirrors and just ultimately, just a headline for now.
Yeah. So I when I first saw it this morning, it was early afternoon, I said, just wow, like, I can't believe this. Then Raj went on to talk about, he actually looked up the statute, and I think it was New Mexico, on there's intent, and so it's going to be very, very hard to prove. When I first saw this, I thought, man, this like, look, again, apologies to the victim. It's like, this is really what is a tragic accident. There's not many accidents in my view, but this is one. And the statute says you have to have intent, or some intent, or some mens rea, as you call it, but it's intent. And I don't know how you ever get there. So this looks like, to me, an over-aggressive prosecutor trying to win a public hearing. I don't know, Raj, you with us now?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yep. Yeah, we can. Right. So Raj, you looked into this more than I did today. So what are your thoughts about Alec Baldwin being charged, especially right now?
I mean, we discussed briefly, and I'm sure you guys have talked about it, that generally when you name an actor or the production company or whatnot, you're after one thing and one thing only, and that's money. But as you noted, the civil side was already settled. They already got money. So in this case, it's usually just an over-anxious a DA wanting to make a name for themselves. I mean, I hate to be that facetious and that shallow, if you will, but it's basically doing something that like a reasonable person, committing an act that is not like a felony, like you're not pulling out a gun and shooting somebody, but you could be doing what's called a lawful act, which might produce death in an unlawful manner or without due caution. So basically, if you're negligent and a reasonable person could think, hey, that could cause death, you could be hit with involuntary manslaughter.
Such as drinking and driving.
Exactly.
That's
so
where you usually see that.
Precisely. And with Baldwin, I don't know how, and the armorer as well, I don't know how you establish that. You know, what is the standard? I guess the presumption or an example would be Baldwin would know the weight of an unloaded or a gun with blanks versus a actually loaded gun and should have known better, if you will. Just something along those lines. Should a reasonable person have known that death could happen? And it's a movie set, and they do that all the time. And there were blanks, and somebody was supervising it, and that's their professional job. So, yeah, I have no idea how that could be proved in any way, shape, or form. It's really just a power play. Who knows? It could be a conservative DA, and not many conservatives are a fan of Hollywood these days. So.
Well, it's like if you hand me I know nothing about guns. I'm not sure I've ever fired a gun. But if you hand me a gun and you say, "Hey, do you want to shoot it?" I would presume it's loaded with live rounds. No idea what that feels like, none. And so the opposite is true. If I was on a movie set and you hand me a gun and you say shoot it, I 99.9% assume it's not loaded with real guns because we're on a movie set. So how do you jump past that presumption? It seems impossible. We will see. But all right, let's get to sports, boys. So NFL Wildcard Weekend. Raj, best of my count, looking back on my notes, you win 100%. I think you got every game right.
It's a miracle.
Tom and Brandon and we all missed Tampa Bay. I missed the Chargers, of course. Stupid me betting on the Chargers. So dumb. I lived in Southern California for 5 years. Still haven't learned my lesson.
What Chargers? What happened?
So all right. So what? Raj, we'll start with you. What was your standout moment of the weekend?
Standout moment. I mentioned this, that for some reason, even that 27-point comeback wasn't that big of a deal to me. One, because it was in Florida, it was in Jacksonville, whatever. Not exactly, while the crowd was hype, not exactly like Buffalo in January, right? And then being a Raider fan, knowing the Chargers, we all knew that would happen. I was just shocked that Miami was so competitive with Skylar Thompson. That was really surprising to me. And the third thing I'd take away is how stupid Baltimore was calling that sneak with a young quarterback, Tyler Huntley. And damn well you don't stick the ball out on the goal line, especially when you're a yard and a half, 2 yards away. That was the difference in the game. And those three things, wow, I really couldn't have predicted and again, I'd call the latter two, Miami hanging around and that stick out, and that being the difference in the Bengals game, the real shockers, even though the other game was 27-0.
Tom, what about you? What stood out to you most about Wildcard Weekend?
Yeah, I want to say that the big comeback by Jacksonville was a huge surprise. But we're talking about Brandon Staley here, who, let's face it, how the man has a job today, how they fire, albeit Joe Lombardi's kind of a fraudulent OC. He proved that here in Detroit with Matthew Stafford and Kelvin Johnson, by the way. But to see he's the only one that gets fired, I think that's absolute travesty, because he's responsible. He literally took, the number 1 or 2 best receiver, played him the week prior and gets his back fractured. So him not being there, and just the bonehead decisions he's made throughout his coaching career, going forward on 4th down continuously and failing. It just, you take a guy like Justin Herbert and you can't do anything with him. That's on coaching, if you ask me. I don't blame this on the players 100%. This is coaching. So to say that I'm not surprised that happened, I'm not surprised. But yeah, I mean, I guess the biggest takeaway is John Harbaugh in trouble in Baltimore? For J.K. Dobbins to come out and really kind of say, I should have had the ball, making those comments that players usually don't make. The old coach speak at it. Now he just kind of let it go. And for him to say that, if Lamar was playing, we win that game. And I agree with him. I think that was the situation. So has John Harbaugh lost that locker room? And, that's a lot of things to say right after a game. And I know they're very heated, and obviously they lost by a touchdown, in a divisional rival. So that's hot. That's tough. But he was unfiltered. So it makes you wonder where exactly, the players think on that situation. But Miami had no business being anywhere near that game. 13.5 spread. I mean, kudos to Skyler for, keeping him in there. Made some bad decisions, which you expect for, a kid really making his 3rd start in the first as a pro in the playoffs. So you're not going to expect that to happen a la Brock Purdy. But and then on that regard, I mean, San Francisco looked like a train, just absolutely steamrolling Seattle in that second half. And Brock Purdy does not look like a rookie. He's got all the confidence in the world. And let's face it, when you have an offense that's loaded, you got Deebo Samuel back. I like their chances. Interesting weekend, and looking forward to the next one.
Well, Skylar Thompson was drafted way ahead of Brock Purdy.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Tom, let me follow up on a point you made up. How important is it for John Harbaugh that the Ravens re-sign Lamar Jackson, and are they going to pay him what he wants?
Well, I think they need an answer quick, because they're either going to want to try and make a move to get, moved up in the draft to get somebody, or they're going to be a player, maybe in the Jimmy G sweepstakes, or maybe whoever else is available. Rogers' boy down there, Derek Carr. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. To me, it was kind of a slap in the face to Lamar by them paying Roquan Smith, who
big time
is representing himself, and clearly went in there with the same kind of, attitude as Lamar has, and they gave him. He's the highest paid linebacker in history. So I'm not exactly sure that Baltimore's going to want to spend the money on him. He hasn't been the most durable, although he does take a lot of hits, but he's a lot of that offense. And you saw how much they missed him in that game, and it was the difference. So I think it's going to be here sometime within the next, 2 to 3 weeks. We're going to know because, Baltimore's either in or they're out, and they're going to be looking for a quarterback if they're out.
How about that salty interview? I mean, she didn't ask very good questions to a head coach, but right at halftime, did anybody see? Yeah, Harbaugh looked pretty salty, man.
Yeah,
it wasn't a great look.
He channeled his inner brother on that one.
Exactly. I'm constantly wondering, like, their dad seems like the nicest guy, but both kids are assholes. So something's going on there. Like, I don't know. But, yeah, that was a salty old man look. Get off my lawn.
Yeah, my big takeaway was I don't know if Mike McDaniel is a great coach or a horrible coach. Like, I know he's a third-string quarterback, but he had a chance to win that game, and they can't get the plays called in. And, like, that looked like someone that was drunk playing Madden at the end of the game. Like, I'm going through my plays. I can't get it in. Like, that was a bad look, bad ending to a great football game and a game Dolphins should have won and may have won if two had played.
And that pivotal quickly, Rob, when they were on the goal line on third down, they had trips left, and I thought they were going to do that usual screen, wide receiver screen to Tyreek or something, and he dropped back and threw like a 30-yard pass to the weak side. It was blanketed. He's staring the whole way. Buffalo intercepted 33 yards away from the touchdown. At that point, Miami was up 24-20. Within seconds, it was 27-24. Buffalo, game over.
Yep.
Yeah.
Bad play call.
I made a comment in our text thread real quick. These analytic coaches that are really cute, they think they got out coached over this weekend, and
yes,
you know,
that's a great point.
It's almost like they're coaching too much or they're trying too hard,
too smart for their own good. Definitely with Millhouse.
It's get the play in, and they got a delay a game after a timeout too. That is 100% on coaching.
Well, and McDaniel said when it was 4th and 1, he's like, I thought it was first down. Like, what? Like how do you not know down it? Like that's your job. Like you're the play caller.
He must have
calculating.
They've been on the sidelines.
Yeah. I don't know what that wasn't that vague. But it's like, not only I don't care what the person tells you, there's a damn sign on the field that tells you what down it is. All right, so our biggest takeaway. So we are all gamblers, for better or worse. So what are you most worried about in a team that you had confidence in? What are you most worried about moving forward? Tom, start with you.
Well, I mean, I think we all were in agreement earlier in the season on Buffalo that, we thought they were world beaters. And obviously some bad coaching and a third string quarterback showed that maybe that's not the case. And going into this week, they got a legit quarterback, as we all know. They've got the experience, and I think that's a huge concern looking into this weekend as a team that I think we all thought was probably the clear-cut favorite. I think some minds have changed, and more people will probably think, they're beatable, and we'll see. This weekend could be a big test for them.
Yeah, Rob, what do you think?
How about the Eagles? I mean, far and away, them in Kansas City, but they're 2-2 in their last 4. It's obvious that Hurts, based on, one game against the Giants, but he's cold, man. I know he's a great player, but it's been 5 weeks since he played a meaningful snap. They got a hot Giants team coming in with a quarterback, Daniel Jones, who's rushed for, I think, 170 yards over his last 2 games. 300 yards last game. And watch out for Isaiah Hodgins. This is a dude that did not drop a ball all year.
Right.
People say, where was he in fantasy? Well, he was hurt. He only played in 8 games. But since December 1st, he's been averaging 5 catches and 70 yards per game. He's got a few TDs, tons of targets. Philly hasn't really seen this dude, and he changes that offense. They're still receiver by committee, but watch out, and not to mention Philly is without Lane Johnson, him and Jason Kelsey, their best 2 linemen. So you never know. And this is a divisional matchup. The weather's not a factor there, 53 degrees, 50% rain. So I would not be surprised. And Saquon's rested. He only had 9 carries. If the Giants came in, he looked good. If the Giants came in and smacked a fairly overconfident team that has not played a real game in 5 weeks in the face.
You keep Jalen Hurts in the backfield, you force him to beat you with his arm. I like the Giants' chances in that one.
Yeah, I think they could definitely surprise.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you're the Eagles, you wanted to see the Vikings 1,000 times more than you wanted to see a division opponent when they're rolling. You haven't played much.
Mm-hmm.
I heard Booger McFarland on PTI. He was saying, "Yeah, if you're Jalen Hurts, you take one of those happy shots and you get that shoulder just numb because you can't risk going down on it." Now I don't condone that because these injuries are real, kids. But yeah, if you have a chance to win a Super Bowl, go win a Super Bowl. The one that concerns me the most, makes me the most intrigued, is this Cowboys-Niners. I think I'm leaning towards the Cowboys. Look, I filled out my bracket today. Had to pick all the way to the Super Bowl. Filled it out, tore it up immediately. I was like, I hate it. Don't like it. This is a tough field coming in, but it's the closest spread. Purdy may have to play a mediocre game at some point, and so I'm most concerned about the 49ers moving into this week. And I think the Chiefs roll. I think the Eagles win. This Bills-Bengals game, man, that's the must-see TV of the weekend.
Are we breaking them down individually?
Oh, not yet. I've skipped ahead.
Okay.
Sorry.
Just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, sorry, you caught me. All right.
Hold the good stuff.
All right, so now we're getting into the divisional round. Let's make some picks and let's tell us why. Tom, we'll start with you, and we'll go. We'll go each game around the horn. So, Tom, we got Jacksonville, Chiefs. We're talking point spread, over under, or just win out, whatever you want.
Well, I think this is obviously Jacksonville's a great story. The comeback win last week, but let's face it, they're not going to get away with being put in a 27-0 hole against the Chiefs. I do think they clean up a little bit on offense because I think Doug Peterson's an unbelievable coach, and he's the perfect coach for that team. Trevor Lawrence, obviously they reacted to his halftime speech, but it's the Chiefs. It's Patrick Mahomes. This is their time to shine, and they've got too many weapons. Defensively, I'm not too sure. They do give up a lot of points, but right now it looks like the spread's 8.5, over under 51.5. I see Kansas City winning and covering. The over-under seems right, unless Jacksonville can put some points up, which remains to be seen. I'll take the under on the 51.5 in Kansas City to cover.
All right, Raj, what do you think?
If I pick Jacks to cover, it's just like that emotional gut feeling alone, like it's the playoffs. Kansas City obviously sees this as a formality to get to the AFC Championship. They were 14-3. When you look at Jacksonville, they don't sack the quarterback. They were 25th in the league. Blah, blah, blah. Lawrence had 4 picks last game. Now, one thing about Kansas City that I found interesting is they are the worst team in the playoffs at turnover margin. They actually ended up -3 for the season. And the reason why is they don't generate a lot of turnovers. So if that doesn't happen, I can actually see Jacksonville covering this game. And it's because they have the offensive firepower, and because I think Kansas City is going to be a little lax. Now, naturally, I always tell people to do the opposite of what I say. That means Kansas City will probably start out with 40 points, and it'll be game over. And they'll score in the 50s, which may as well happen. But for now, I'm going to take Jacksonville narrowly beating that 8.5. Well, I actually think it'll go up to probably 9 or 10. So Chiefs by at least 7, but I think Jacksonville covers.
All right, over under, or are you staying away?
52.5. I'll take the over.
All right. So, Raj, I'm with you. Jacksonville has been playing playoff football for the last 6 weeks. Kansas City's been coasting. I think it's going to be a Kansas City get their feet underneath them for the first half. I think Jacksonville leads at halftime, and Kansas City ends up winning, but it'll be closer than the spread. So I'm taking Jacksonville to cover. Also, I think it's going to be a dead game. I like the under. I think Jacksonville doesn't score much, but they'll score some, so I like the under on that one. Then we go to the NFC East battle, the New York Giants at Philly. We have it at Philly -7.5. We have the over-under at 48. Raj, what do you think?
I said it before. I'll take the Giants to cover, and I wouldn't be surprised if they won this game. I really wouldn't. You got a mobile quarterback who's, again, averaging about 85 yards per game over the last few games. Now, granted, that wasn't the Philadelphia defense. Philly was number 1 in sacks in the NFL. This next closest team was Kansas City. They were 15 sacks behind them, like 1 full sack per game. But when you got a mobile quarterback, that tends to neutralize that, and you can run the ball on Philly. So I think it'll be close. But, if you twist my arm and it was the money line, I'd probably take Philly. But I definitely see the Giants covering the 7.5.
Tom?
Yeah, I think Raj is right. What did Danny Dimes last week broke a record? First time in history, 300 yards passing, with 3 touchdown passes, and he rushed for 70 yards. I don't think we expected to see what we did last week, and he put the world on notice. Like, hey, I'm a pretty good quarterback. He
looked like Josh Allen, man.
He did, absolutely.
Not like the throwing ability, but that's what he was reminding me of.
But that comes, though, with being able to run like that. They're not predictable. That team became pretty dangerous in a sense that, Philly has the sack ability, but they're not going to be able to rush the amount of guys they would normally do, for the sake that they have to watch Daniel Jones, that he might take off. And obviously having Saquon Barkley healthy, and he looked like a battering ram last week when he was on the field. So that spread to me is insane. It's a divisional game. It's going to be dirty. There's going to be batteries thrown in the stands, and like Raj said, this is a game. Can the Giants win? Absolutely, they can win, and it's going to come down to who turns the ball over. How significant is that shoulder injury that Jalen Hurts has? And like Raj said earlier, he hasn't played meaningful football in almost 2 months. So I believe that momentum carries. How much momentum do the Eagles have? I'm not sure. And they're just not going to get by just because they were the number 1 overall seed. So I'm not too concerned about home field advantage, because obviously the Giants went in the skull country and just, curb stomped them. So Giants are definitely going to cover. It could come down to the kicking game. Who's got a better kicker here? So definitely going to
money line.
I'm going to take the under here. You have it at 48.5. I saw it at, I got it here down the crawl at 46.5. These NFC East divisional games are raw. They're dirty. A lot of fighting. So trench battles. So give me the Giants to cover, and I'll take the under.
What's the money line at for that game? I'm trying to find it. For the Giants, plus 275.
I'll go to Vegas Insider.
It's plus 285 for the Giants, minus 365 for the Eagles. That's on ESPN.
I got plus 275 on BetMGM.
That might be nice to throw $10 down.
Vegas, our Vegas insider, it's 47.5.
And those are the second highest odds to Jacksonville. Only Jacksonville's got a higher money line odds. But anyway.
All right. So I like what all y'all are saying. I think I'm with y'all mentally, but this is one of those, hey, this looks like a Vegas trap to me. Divisional games should be close. These teams have played each other 2 times this year. They play two times every year. They know each other. Something's fishy to me on this. I'm taking the Eagles, and I'm taking the over. I'm going contrary to what I think, and so that's what I'm rolling with on this one. No real rhyme or reason. I think Hurts must be more healthy than we think he is, and they think he's going to be injury-free. All right, the big boys. Buffalo and Cincy, obviously going to be kind of somewhat emotionally. It's at Buffalo. And then so we have Buffalo minus 5.5, and the over-under looks like it's 49.
In this
Rod,
game,
what do you think?
Well, it would have been in Cincinnati if that game played out. Thank God DeMar Hamlin's okay. But if Cincinnati would have won that game, this game is in Ohio, by the way. I looked at the weather. Right now, it's scheduled for 36 degrees. They should be playing this game in Atlanta. In neutral. This should be the neutral site for sure. As of right now, I looked at the weather. They're both kind of cold weather teams, but nobody's cold weather like Buffalo. 36 degrees with a 50% chance of snow. Obviously, we'd have to get before freezing to really do damage. I was not impressed with what Cincinnati did. They looked ugly across the board. I don't know if that was just Baltimore showing up, backup quarterbacks, but they did not look like the Bengals. And whereas the flip side is, Buffalo is smarting from this game last year. Josh Allen did not have a Josh Allen game. I expect them to clean it up. Finally, I think Cincinnati's going to be without up to 3 offensive linemen. I think Buffalo hopes Jonah Williams, the old Alabama left tackle, plays because that guy was last in the league in sacks allowed. He was just atrocious, and him getting hurt was like a big favor to the Bengals. For that reason, the Bengals OL is going to get them again. And I like Buffalo. I think they come back to life, that Josh Allen has a Josh Allen game, and that they get after Joe Burrow.
I honestly, given what happened in the AFC this year with those 2 teams, I think all 4 teams should just go down to Atlanta and play in the bubble, and just finish it out. And because they're already talking about moving the AFC Championship there, and it's not fair for these 2 teams to one of them go on the road against the other. And
then we could all go see good football. You and I could drive down there.
I know.
That'd be badass.
Selfishly, always, of course. It's always about what we can do.
Duh.
You know what, Raj? I think I agree with you. The Bengals look bad, but the Bills look bad as well. Both teams look equally bad against third-string quarterbacks, and so. In this situation, I'm just going to take the points. Just give me the points, and I'll be happy. I can see either team winning this. It's in Buffalo, so it's going to be a little more difficult for Cincinnati, but I'll take the points, and I'll be happy. Tom, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, obviously Buffalo, didn't look at their best, but let's stop for a minute and see who they played. They played one of the best defensive lines in all of football, so and they got to Josh Allen in that second half. They really, obviously, he coughed up that ball to start the second half. So third string quarterback aside, Miami's legit on defense. So, but I do think that Buffalo tends to play down to their competition at times. So that could have been a factor. Losing the offensive lineman, though, for Cincinnati, who's already, Joey Burrow running for his life on a lot of occasions. So you take those guys out of the mix, and that really hinders you. And there'll be a lot of blitzing. Matt Milano is a machine. He knows how to get to the quarterback in the linebacker position. So I can see a big rebound coming. I trust Josh Allen to make the adjustments. I think he forced a lot of throws. He looked really bad. I don't see them making that same mistake. And as much as I'd love to see Joey Burrow move on to the AFC Championship, this game's in Buffalo. Those fans are insane. It's a tall order, no matter who you throw back there. So the 4, I can see, Buffalo winning by a couple field goals. So I'll take Buffalo to cover. And what's the over under 48? I'll take the over on that. They're both pretty good offensive scoring teams. So over and Buffalo. This team, say what you want. They're playing for DeMar Hamlin. Will he be in the house? I think that will motivate them if that is the case. And I'm sure those players would love to be able to have him on the sidelines. So they keep rolling, Buffalo and the over.
Miami had 7 sacks, by the way. Cincinnati is 29th in the league in the regular season in sacks. Yeah. Josh Allen is going to have a lot more time than he did. You're right.
Yep.
All right, and now to the NFL's bread and butter, their beauty, their highlight of the weekend. It is, and to the highlight of our youth, it is Dallas and San Francisco, the two. At least when we were growing up, the two marquee franchises in the NFL. It is in San Francisco. San Francisco is favored by, looks like 4, 3.5. Started open at 3.5, went to 4. Over under 46.5. Tom, we'll start with you. Who do you like in this traditional? I mean, this heavyweight brand battle, and I've heard after. San Francisco building this brand new stadium out in Santa Clara, which is not San Francisco.
45 minutes away.
Yeah, and then it's been empty for years and years and years. Finally, this is like the most expensive ticket that's for the weekend. So finally, Santa Clara, you build it, they will come. So congrats on that. Tom, who do you got in this one and why?
Well, this is an old school NFL matchup. I mean,
yeah.
To Terrell Owens, catching the ball at the goal line and getting just walloped and, crying early in his career.
Charles Haley.
Right.
So many guys back and forth on this one.
As far as the Cowboys go, I'm gonna quote a famous Texan. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, you ain't gonna fool me twice. And that's where the Cowboys are. They fooled me. I think they fooled a couple other people in how they played last week. Dak looked, after the first 2 possessions, Dak looked insane. He just, that offense was clicking. Tony Pollard was running. The tight end play, and CeeDee Lamb really wasn't even a factor. So, and defensively, Micah Parsons is probably the best player in football, who my Detroit Lions should have drafted last year, but that's another story. So going back to
you guys are good. Anthony Richardson, be happy.
Oh no. Going back to my fool me twice. You're not going to fool me twice. I don't see any chance Dallas goes in to San Francisco with the weapons that San Francisco has. And you have a quarterback. Yeah, Brock Purdy's 8-0. He hasn't experienced a loss as a starting quarterback in the NFL. But let's face it, with that much talent, Deebo Samuel's back. You have Christian McCaffrey. You have George Kittle, who is probably the biggest proponent of Brock Purdy because since he's been the quarterback, his numbers have gone through the roof. And then you've got Brandon Ayuk. Just don't make any mistakes. Just sit back there and don't make any mistakes. And Purdy doesn't. Yes, he's going to be probably pressured a little bit more. This will be his biggest test. But everything that the NFL has thrown at him, he has handled it no problem. This game being in San Francisco, with the way that the 49ers get after the quarterback, and their linebacker play is probably one of the best in the NFL. I'm going San Francisco all day, and that 45.5. I'm going to say San Francisco and give me the over. What did you say it was? 46?
46 and a half.
46. I got it 45.5. Whichever you push it, I see this being around 50 to 51. So yeah, give me the 49ers and the over here. They got something cooking. Mr. Irrelevant has been great, and I think he continues.
Raj, what about you? What do you think and why?
I don't know, man. I keep waiting for this bubble to burst with this kid, and not fully, but he's so super chill. He's like nothing. He's no highs, no lows, and that's such a special thing. It's growing up in Southern California, what I always fancy myself as, but I know for a fact I'm not like that. Way too neurotic. But this kid is like Van Wilder, it seems. And yeah, when is that going to stop?
If he's anything like you, he'll miss the first quarter.
Well, touche. Yeah, he could oversleep, dude, and just be whatever. He'll show up in the second and dominate.
Is this important?
Jeff Spicoli, oh yeah, man. Was that today? Yeah.
So that was
all right, Hamilton
last week.
Yeah, no joke. That guy was drunk. Tony Romo was drunk, by the way. He was so bad. But anyway, back to this game.
Wait. Yeah, let's side note. Has Tony Romo become awful? It seems.
Oh God! Compared to Greg Olsen in the next game, I thought Romo. They were so indecisive, and they just bring up, I'd go for it here, and it was just such a dumb. And then what's his name announcing would be like, well, I don't know, would you? Well, come to think of it, maybe I wouldn't. They wouldn't say anything decisive. He's paid to give his analysis, and he was just wishy-washy, and I don't know. He was like drunk on a golf course. It was just like not. I think his allure is the familiarity. We all know him. He's well-spoken, good voice, whatever. But he sucks as a color commentator, dude.
Well, it's almost like there
was no insight.
When he started, it was like, oh, this is exactly what they're going to run. This is how the play is going to go.
Yeah.
And then it's like they're like, don't tell people that they want to watch it. And it's like now he's like, I don't know, Jim. What do you think?
Exactly. That's exactly him, dude. That's exactly him.
A 10-yard line, a 20-yard line marker? Or should they go like to what LSU does, do a 5, 10, 15-yard marker?
Precisely. And Olsen was giving insight, but he was saying it to the layperson. He's talking about coverages, but not going into, extreme detail in names. It was very relatable. And hearing him in the Minnesota game after drunk Romo, I was just like, God, I made up my mind that Romo just sucks. But speaking of sucking Dallas, one thing Dallas kind of sucks at is against the run. They were 22nd in the NFL against the run. The Minnesota Vikings were better against the run than the Dallas Cowboys. Now, that's not apples to apples, got different opponents and whatnot, but that's the wrong team to be crappy against the run against. The Niners can just do so many things, and Dallas is kind of a bend but don't break defense. Now, one thing about Dallas is they were second in the NFL in turnovers. They were plus 10. Guess who was number one? Who was also the number one defense in the NFL, almost the number one team against the run. Actually, Rob, you know who the top team against the run in the NFL was this year? Oddly enough, the Tennessee Titans were number one against the run. But you got the best defense in the league. I think
there's no need to run against it when you can just pass the whole time.
Exactly. Everybody can throw. But yeah,
don't waste your time. Yeah,
I definitely like San Francisco in this game, but part of me feels like it'll be Dallas, San Francisco field goal game. But that's what Vegas wants us to feel because it's a 4-point spread. So I'm going to take the Niners, and I think they win by 7, but I wouldn't be surprised to see this a field goal game. That's just not enough for me to bet on Dallas. As far as the over under,
that was non-committal. So you're taking who? You
I
taking
sound like
spread?
Romo. So give me the over and give me the Niners because I can't just rely on an emotional field goal game. Right. Over Niners.
All right. I'll take Dallas, and I like the under because you guys are dummies. All right.
Fair.
That's some good analytics for you guys. All right. So we're approaching the hour mark. We're trying to keep it on an hour these times. As many of our viewers know, we are, big college basketball fans here. We are a third way mark around that into the college or the conference season. And so we're going to touch base just on where we stand. We're going to have a conference tournament special. We're going to have a bracket reveal extravaganza. And so we want to keep college basketball in the forefront and just keep talking about it. So as we stand here, we have a Michigan man, we have a Southern Cal man, and a volunteer man here. So Tom, we'll start with you. Michigan. So I've got a few questions. Well, let's start. So they're 10-8 overall. They are 4-3 in the Big Ten. They lost tonight to Maryland. And Juwan Howard, is his magic still there? Are people getting a little uneasy? What's the overall feeling in Ann Arbor, and how do you feel about Michigan as it stands the third way through the conference?
Well, I'll start off by saying, thanks to the football program the last 2 years, the basketball program seems to have kind of slipped back in non-existence to the average fan. If you took a poll to 10 people on the street, hey, do you know how Michigan basketball is doing? 60% of them would be like, I don't know, but hey, did you hear Harbaugh's coming back? That's how it is. As far as Harbaugh goes, or I'm sorry, Juwan Howard goes, I don't know what it is. He's bringing in these kids. Next year, he supposedly has a really good recruiting class. But I don't know if his message is going across. Obviously, he's had some, 2 or 3 brush ups with other coaches. I don't know if that, affects the way these kids are playing. But they just don't look good. Their leading scorer, their top player is Jet Howard, which is Juwan's son, he's not going to be here next year. He's a one and done. They've pretty much wasted 4 years on Hunter Dickinson, who his mouth probably has done more work than his basketball ability.
I hate that kid, by the way.
Yeah, I mean he's
from one game.
He's the new Chris
from one game. Yes, I hate him. Yes,
all the
I saw him play tonight, and it brought back every anger I had. I was like, man, I don't like this kid.
He should have left after that year, man.
He should have left 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, 2 years ago he would have got drafted, second round maybe. I don't think this kid's draftable. He's certainly not a center, and I don't think he has the athleticism to play the 4. And he's to 3, absolutely not. So I don't know where he goes in the draft, but their guard play has been horrendous. And in college basketball, we all know, I mean, it's the guard play. When Michigan was good, they had Trey Burke. Trey Burke was running up and down the court, and that's when they were at their best. They had a pretty good point guard a couple years ago, and obviously they've brought in some grad transfers, but just isn't working. And is it coaching? I don't know. And I look at how Harbaugh was years ago. Can recruit. I know Randall doesn't seem to think that, but he can recruit. But there was something missing until he figured out the coaching. But he's got a Hall of Fame coach on his bench, so I'm not too sure. It doesn't look good. Their tournament chances are probably done unless they make a run here in the Big Ten tournament, which I don't expect. So, not looking good up there at the Chrysler Center in Ann Arbor.
Well, so I actually think the three of the schools we root for are very similar. Obviously, Tennessee's not up there with academics, but as far as sports-wise, I think they're all kind of very similar. And so I'll tell you this, Tom, it's a little bit of a blessing in disguise that your football fans don't bleed over to your basketball fans, because at Tennessee we have a lot of like true basketball fans. Then we have a lot of idiot football fans that come over and just talk about, oh, fire Barnes, because we lose like oh, you lose one game, you should hear the radio calls like he's washed up. Are you kidding me? We have top 5 recruiting classes every year, and it's just it's idiotic. And
25 wins every year.
Yeah, I'd love any idiotic Tennessee fan to call on or just please have a discussion with me. So Raj, before we get to that, so USC. So wait, Tom. Like, yeah, I think you're right. Michigan's very much on the bubble right now. The good news is the Big Ten's, although they're not as tough as they are this year, so only Purdue and Rutgers, of all people, are ranked. But Michigan State's still up there. Illinois plays well. Wisconsin. They've got some chances to do some wins. But yeah, they've got to get it together quickly.
Yeah. And
then so Raj, we scroll down to what used to be known as the Pac-12. Now it's just the Big Ten Exodus. USC is sitting pretty. They're 13-5 overall, third in the conference at 5-2, just behind UCLA and Arizona State. What's your outlook? How are you feeling?
Well, right now they're playing at Arizona, and it's been a bad kind of worst case scenario. Arizona started the game with a 3. They hit a 3 right before the buzzer. SC's down 15. Nothing's working. Arizona got in the bonus with like 8 minutes left, a lot of home cooking. And it's just a team that, when you look at USC, you've got Okongwu, Onyeka Okongwu, and the Mobley brothers. You've had guys drafted in the first round year after year, Methu, Kevin Porter. But usually they're an outside-in team, and this is the first year they're not. They're kind of driven by their guard play. They have a 5-star center, Vince Uwakchu.
Yeah, is he going to play?
So he played his first game against Colorado, but he is so raw. He was one of those kids that I believe came from Africa and didn't start playing until his first year. So, he got hurt in July of his freshman year. So he hasn't – now he's thrown into major college play. So they need him tonight against a big team. But – I've started seeing analysts having them in the tournament because they definitely have the talent to do so, but there's been a lot of missed opportunities. Does the committee look at not having a 5-star? Does the committee look at an overtime loss to a great Tennessee team, a narrow 1-possession loss to then a ranked Wisconsin team, another narrow loss to, I'm blanking. It was another ranked team. UCLA. They were down 20 at the half at that game. They ended up losing 60-58 at Pauley, and they had a shot to win the game. They're down 15 again tonight, and they have a win over Auburn at home, which is looking better and better. So there will be opportunities. It's just we shall see. This trip is the toughest one. They have at Arizona tonight, then at a damn good ASU team that has flipped the script, and then they get UCLA at home. So that is the 3 toughest games in the conference, like easily. And they have them 3 in a row. So they've got to get one of those, hopefully 2, but it's not looking good so far. Are they a talented team and more talented than probably half the field? Yes. Does that get them in? No. I don't know yet, but we need something to change.
Well, Ken Palm has them going 20-11, 12-18 in conference. I think a 20-win team in a Power 5, especially that conference, I do think it gets them in.
The metrics do not like us, though. Net, Ken Palm, there's teams that are above them that they've beaten pretty handily, and
let me see
I get it.
Michigan is.
One big thing with USC is the first game of the year they lost to Florida Gulf Coast. And what people fail to realize is Florida Gulf Coast was USC light. They were prepared for the old coach Michael Fly for everything. They fired him and went Big Ten Pat Chambers. They had all new players, and SC came in as a 19-point favorite, and they just got beat up. So do they consider first game of the year, new roster and personnel, but the metrics don't. They see a big loss at home to Florida Gulf Coast. So I don't know, man. I mean, they've been showing up in brackets lately, but they can't be losing by 15 at Arizona. Something's got to change tonight.
Yeah, to go back to Michigan, so Ken Palm has Michigan 16-15 overall, 10-10 in the Big Ten. So that will not get them in. So Michigan's got to start winning some games to get in. And so, which brings me to possibly the oddity of the year so far, which is Tennessee basketball. Look, they are number 2 in Ken Palm. They are number 2 in net. They're number 2 in ESPN BPI. The eye test doesn't show this. Look, I want it to be true. I think UT's a really good squad. I think when they hit their shots, they can beat anyone. They can D up anyone. But man, it's still and wait, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do what people want you to do to skip to March. I'm going to talk about regular season. So we still have Alabama, who I think is the best team in the country right now. We still have Kentucky on the road, and I think that's about it. I mean, we have Auburn, who's always a little challenge. I think Tennessee's Ken Palm is 25-6, 14-4 in the SEC.
What's up with Vescovi? He didn't play.
Well, no, he hurt his shoulder versus Kentucky.
Okay, because I didn't see him.
Yeah, Tyreek Key didn't play either against Mississippi. So two guards start. So that's why Zakai Ziegler had to play the whole 40 minutes.
Well, they covered. That's all I cared about.
Yeah, well, Avi, I told you that.
I had bet before that. But with Tennessee, quickly.
I did too. Yeah.
They're like, it's anybody in college, but USC does this. Like at Arizona, when you start to fall behind, when teams just start settling for threes, you're going to lose. When Tennessee shoots too many threes, they lose the game. I mean, yes, they can make them, but they are best at getting their offense into their offense, getting to Phillips, zone breaking, getting to the basket with Key, Ziegler. When teams get thrown off from that and settle for threes, they're going to lose. And Tennessee's losses have all been those types of anomalies. They haven't been beaten kind of straight up, if you ask me. And that'll happen with kids, but SC's the same way. And again, everyone's like that. The question is, how much room for error do you have? Whereas like teams like USC have less, Michigan has 0, but Tennessee has a lot of room. I see a good, well-balanced team, but I'm not going to lie. Like I expected Kentucky to play, but that game concerned me on a few different levels. They just looked very sloppy, not even beatable. It didn't look like the team that I saw, and the team that I saw can play with anybody in the country.
Yeah, it's tricky because you have essentially like if you want to play, you can beat anybody, but also you can't lose to anybody because they beat Mississippi State by 11 with 2 starters out. So you can win those games, but you can't necessarily lose to anybody. But man, if you just start shooting threes and you're not hitting them, and you keep doing it over and over and over again, like you can't shoot 14%. Like yeah, stop shooting if you're at that percentage.
And it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like the more you shoot threes like that, the more they continue to shoot it.
Yeah,
it's a confidence thing. It's a number of different things. And against MSU, they were getting to the basket. They were running their offense.
Oh, the game against Colorado.
Yeah,
I'm not kidding you. So that was my mom's birthday present. She loves she can't get to Knoxville anymore. So we took her to Nashville and dropped her off right before the game. That's my mom's birthday present. It was literally like 10 cup on hole 12. Like just go ahead, hit it again, hit it in the water. Just keep missing that three. Just keep missing it. But nonetheless, all right.
Against USC, we went to overtime with you guys,
Yeah.
but Tennessee shot like 16% for the game. Got lucky.
Yeah.
You know, when they shoot bad and settle for those things, they lose.
Oh, yeah.
Run their offense, they win. Pretty simple.
All right, boys. We've been on here for an hour and 10. Let's get to Bet Your Nuts for the weekend. Obviously, we got some NFL games going on. We've got some college basketball. We've got for the French Open, which super sad Nadal went out. But anyways,
I thought it was the Australian Open. Is it the French?
Did I say the French Open? No, it is Australian. Sorry.
Which one's on clay?
French.
Okay, that's the one where he never loses.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, Tom. What do you got? Bet your nuts.
Well, I'm going to go to the divisional round here. The Saturday night game, we're going to head to the city of brotherly love. And as I said earlier, I do not like that 7.5. I think that's a bit too high for a divisional game, especially the way that New York looked last week in Minnesota. So I am going to put it on the line, folks. Get your checkbook ready. Head to your nearest casino if they are available, like they are here in Detroit. Or you could drive to Toledo because they're there too, or Cleveland, or cross the border into Windsor, and put your money on the New York.
You
That was mine.
You didn't name a single city worth going to.
Excuse me.
Windsor is a huge shithole, dude. Have you been
to Detroit lately?
It's gotten a lot nicer.
I haven't been to Detroit since I crossed the border to go to Windsor.
Okay. If you haven't been to Detroit in the last 5 years, you would be shocked.
That's what I hear.
It's absolutely.
Last time I was there, it was 2008, my freshman year, when I was at Indiana. We went up to Detroit.
You guys need to make your
Last
trip.
time I was there, I was watching RoboCop.
Hey, they still talk about building the statue there. The plans are there. They just haven't voted on it yet.
Hey,
but,
you give me. I'm not coming in the winter, so rule that out. But give me a summer weekend, and I'll try to make it up there.
You come up for a baseball game, even though the Tigers suck. It's a great experience going downtown.
Give us a Braves Tigers.
It's a nice field. Yeah, we got to check out who they play.
And then we can go out on the boat afterwards. So
SC cut it to 10, and now it's 15 again. Damn it! Sorry.
But yes, Detroit is a very underrated city. But I digress. So again, we're going to Philly, and put your money on the New York Football Giants. I'm gonna throw one at you here. Take the money line. I think the Giants go in there and they smack them in the mouth and they come out heading to the NFC Championship game. New York, money line. Book it.
I was actually going to say the same. I think we talked about it and I looked up the money line thing. So I'm actually going to head to the Jacksonville game. And I know 52.5 is a lot of points, but God, I really want to take Jacksonville to cover. Tom, you stole my damn thunder because I was actually going to take the Giants, and I even looked at the money line as well. I'm going to go to the under in Buffalo and Cincinnati. I think that game will be uglier than expected. The weather's not going to help. Neither teams looked offensively great last week, especially Cincinnati. So I will take the under 49 in Buffalo and Cincinnati.
Undefeated, never lost.
There goes that one. It's like
I don't want this to happen, but I think it's going to happen. I'm taking Cincinnati money line. I think Joe Burrow has got it cooking. As bad as it looks against the Ravens, the Bills looked equally as bad. Pressure's on Buffalo. They're going to have heavy hearts against this game, and I think there's going to I hope they win. There's going to be a distraction, though. Give me Cincinnati money line.
Interesting.
Undefeated, never lost.
What is the money line? It's got to be not as high as Jacksonville or the Giants, but it's got to be pretty
plus
high.
196. Plus
I like
196.
All right, boys. That will conclude this episode, minus our final thoughts and final words. Raj, we'll start with you.
I wasn't really prepared for that. I thought Randall would be here, and I'm glad he's feeling better. Yeah, man. I mean, I've got nothing groundbreaking to say. It's just I echo your thoughts that this the turn of the year is when college basketball starts to get really good and really intriguing, and every game seems to matter a ton. So I'm just getting excited. At least I say that until my game starts and my team's down by 15, then I get pissed. But no, man, it's the start of the most exciting time of the year right now. We've got the NFL playoffs Saturday and Sunday, and college basketball's heating up. You're the same way for this next couple months. It's an awesome time in sports. The tournament and the NFL playoffs are probably the two coolest things in all of sports, and they're about to happen. So buckle up, everyone. It's about to get pretty sweet.
Tom, what about you?
Well, I'll go. What is a New Year, January tradition around these parts here in the Michigan area? Well, it is the old, is Jim Harbaugh coming back, or is he going to the NFL talk begins? And the book was closed, obviously, the other day. Jim's coming back. There also is some drama going on with Matt Weiss, the coordinator.
What's going on there? Because I started thinking of Sandusky, dude.
Yeah, whatever computer crimes, I don't know. They really haven't said. There's a lot of, obvious rumors, but
be more vague. I think that's a bad vague too, because he's going to be branded no matter what.
Sure. So, obviously that's a bad look for them, but Jim's back. I think there's a lot of people happy about that. I guess for me as a Michigan fan, I get a little irritated because the same old every year. And you have loyalty, but just it's kind of like the Aaron Rodgers of coaching. Just like, where's this guy going to do? But anyways, it's good to have him back. They're on a roll. You'd be stupid to leave now. But a quick side note, the Easy Speak at Speakeasy 330 will return for an episode, special episode on Saturday. I've got Mr. Rich Jasper fired up. He's really chomping at the bit to do a show, and obviously he's a busy man these days. His boys both play baseball, and that is now a year-round thing. So he doesn't have a lot of time. So we're going to squeeze in some time. We're already set.
Your guest slots must be booked up. You can't ask any of us.
Well, be prepared. You might get an invite if you're available. It'll be before the football games. We're going to do, a rundown. So, if you guys want to be a part of it, that's for sure. We'd love to have you to come on and kind of do what we did today, give a little speculating about the upcoming weekend. So look for it right here. It's going to be broadcast right here on River-City-Media, the Easy Speak page. And I'm pretty fired up. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people that are excited to hear it because we haven't done a show in months. So I'm excited of this one. So look for that. I hope that you guys listen. And if you want to be a part of it, look for it. We'll send out invites.
Hey, Rob, that's awesome. It's a great show, everyone. Can I quickly say screw the Pac-12 yet again? The schedule came out. USC and UCLA are losing. Bitter ex-girlfriend conference gives USC 2 byes, one at the beginning of the year, one at the end of the year. They play 9 consecutive games without a bye, including a trip to Notre Dame to face Sam Hartman. They come back home and they get Utah, the team with the second longest consecutive streak. You guessed it. UCLA, the other team leaving the conference, they get to play 8 games in a row. I mean, it's just blatant, not even trying to hide it. Screw that JV conference. We're going to varsity. But yeah, F them, dude.
Yeah.
F them.
So my final words deal with the University of Michigan and John Harbaugh and the NCAA, and they're just idiocracy. Like, they're trying to force him to say he lied in order to do something else. Like, guys, realize you have no power at all. None. Like none. And so just enjoy these last few years of this basketball television contract. Hopefully you can hold on to that, but stop rocking the boat over improper practices or improper text messages. It doesn't matter. Kids are getting paid, and good for them, but they're getting paid. It's so stupid. NCAA, stop trying to be important. The best thing you can do is be like a government contractor and lie under the radar and just get your paycheck. That's your goal. Your goal is not to be an enforcer. Your goal is to try to get paid under the table and behind the scenes. So know
to get
your
NILs.
place. Yeah, know your place and stay the hell out of the college sports, because there's a time for you, but it is not now. Y'all blew it. Now just go home.
I agree. 2 cheeseburgers. Give me a break.
Yeah.
You
All
can't
right, so
buy the kid a meal, but Texas can spend $300,000 on a Archie Manning visit. It's hypocrisy.
Yeah. So everyone, thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, check out other River City Media channels, and then we're gonna have, obviously, Tom and Rich are gonna come on Saturday. Maybe they'll invite us, maybe they won't. We don't know yet. We'll see. Vols play at 4, so I need to come on before then. Just telling you my schedule. But anyways, thank you guys for watching. Randall, keep getting well in your recovery, and we all wish you the best. And thank you for that recording you had for us today.
Yep.
It's good to hear your voice as always, and we really appreciate it.
Yes, absolutely. Get better, Randall. We look forward to your recovery.
Yeah, man.
We'll see you guys next week. Thanks for listening to River City Media's own Reckless Speculation. Don't forget to like and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube at River City Media, and catch us on Apple Podcast, Spotify, Amazon Music, and Google. We look forward to catching you right back here next week with another exciting episode of Reckless Speculation. Cheers.
It's badass.